Hey everybody, this is the Sliders Review, and it's Women's History Month, and I'm here today to talk to you about Lizzie McGuire, the series rundown review part 4. But in this, I will be talking about the failed revival in 2019 because a couple of details have come out and some I just now found out about, and I'm very, very shocked. So I did mention it in my third part 3 review, but I just now found out some new details. So this will be the last, Lizzie McGuire, rundown review, 4 parts. Dear God, it went too long. I don't know how I talked for over 3 hours long. I thought the video was gonna be a whole lot shorter than that, but nah. And so I will also be talking about what Stevie's thinking because, that was the failed spinoff with Selena Gomez. I'll be talking about that a little bit more, but in my Latino month video and stuff. So that'll probably be around October or so. So, with the Lizzie McGuire revival, that was going to happen in 2019 during the pandemic. And so it was going to be on Disney Plus. And of course, the Lizzie McGuire gang is all grown up in their 30s now. And, that would have been something amazing to see because people love Lizzie McGuire. People grew up with it. It was the blueprint for so many Disney Channel shows going forward. And within such an iconic, legendary character, a revival would have made sense. Now, as we all know, she was supposed to have her own high school series. But Hilary Duff's mom wanted more money. There was supposed to be a sequel to the movie. Once again, Hilary Duff's mother wanted more money. And so over 20-something years have now passed, and then they were thinking about doing a revival. And Terry McKinsky, I can't say her name for some reason right now. She was also supposed to, do the revival. Now, of course, she did the original series. And, she also did Andy Mack, which was a very popular Disney Channel show, which I still to this day have not seen. And so those were her 2 biggest shows. But then something happened halfway, in the production phase. I think they filmed maybe, I don't know how many episodes they filmed, but they did film some stuff I do know of. But, from what I've heard and stuff. But halfway during the production, either she quit or she got fired. And that's kind of like, whoa, what the heck is going on here now? You know what I'm saying? And so next thing you know, you hear from Hilary Duff saying the revival is not gonna happen. I mean, either they got Adam Langberg out of hiding, or somebody had a fake account of his, because around 2019 all of a sudden he just started popping up on social media promoting the new show. And it's on Twitter and everything. But, he's all like, oh, I remember my Twitter password. Something like that. Well, I don't know if that's really him or just a fake account. But you just started seeing stuff being posted over and over. Because this dude just disappeared like many of the other stars have, And so it was really bummed out when people found out the revival was not going to happen. But then we found out why. The reason is because allegedly Hilary Duff wanted the show to be more mature and more adult because the people who grew up with this show are now grown up. She wanted to talk about topics of sex and, more mature stuff because they were adults now. Most likely they would have been talking about alcohol usage, and they would have been using curse words. This makes sense because now those fans are all grown up. And the show, they talked about Lizzie and Miranda and all them, getting training bras back in the original series. That was a big topic, and Disney Channel tackled it. And I'm very shocked and surprised they did. So it would have made sense for them to talk about like more mature stuff. But of course, this was back in 2019, and Disney Plus was still trying to like get up and run and everything, you know? And they was very stuck on the whole Disney Channel format of like, look, we're a brand. This is an old Disney Channel show. Your show is on Disney Plus for reruns. We don't want young kids watching nowadays to get any kind of ideas. So they clashed, and boom, the revival was no more. And it really sucked because everybody was coming back. I heard the parents, the brother, Miranda, Gordo, and everything. But you know, there was an interview done back in January of this year that talked a little bit about some of the things that would have happened. And some of those details is that we find out that Jonathan Horowitz explained some of the ideas they was coming up for the revival. And one of those is that Lizzie and Gordo are not a couple. Yeah, it's so sad. You know, he had a long running crush on her. She had a little bit of thing on him. She kissed him on the cheek towards the throughout the second season. It's they will they, won't they kind of thing. And her coming to the realization that he had feelings for her and she had them back for him. And so, as we all know, when the movie came out, they were not a couple. She went off doing what she always does and crushes on another guy while he just stands around, like, you know, just sucking it all up and everything. And so you kind of got the feeling that maybe they might not have been a couple, but in the back of your mind, you really hope they would have. I mean, come on, man. Like, why not? Let people have happy things. You know what I'm saying? It's something they planted seeds with back in the original, and it's one of those things that people wanted to see. Joke they came up with was that those two dated at the end of the movie, but then on the flight back home from Italy, they broke up and she dumped him at baggage claim and everything. And it was also rumored that her and Ethan Kraft had like a one night stand. That would have been interesting. But the odd thing about that is like, okay, if those two were gonna do it, why the world did he reject her when she asked him out to that dance and everything? So it just seems kind of weird he will hook up with her. And plus, he never seemed like the player type or the one night stand type, you know? Another thing I learned is that the father, Sam, would have had a heart attack. And so the family decided not to tell Lizzie about it while she was in New York. Another thing that, like, you know, happened was, you know, now that Matt and Lizzie are older now, will those two be able to, you know, put their differences aside and, like, you know, not argue and bicker a lot like they used to when they was younger? Jonathan would have hoped that Kate would have made some type of cameo, but he said that, you know, he doesn't know if that would have happened because the actress Ashley is now an attorney and everything. But that's not the biggest shocker I read. And I still can't believe like they was gonna do this to like this one character. Cause like I just never saw it coming. Like never saw this coming. And so that big shocker is how Miranda in the Lizzie McGuire like revival was supposed to be a lesbian character. So after like I was looking up like, you know, that one teacher from Lizzie McGuire that I forgot the cover and everything, because I forgot all about the drama teacher, Mr. Escobar and everything. Like, you know, Mr. Escobar, it's never stated his sexuality and everything, and I know you're not supposed to judge a book by its cover, but the man was pretty flamboyant, and I always assumed he was gay. So if that were to be the case, he would have been like the first LGBT character on Disney Channel and the first LGBT character on Lizzie McGuire. But since this was the 2001 and that was a hot button issue topic and everything and something they couldn't address, so they never did that. I have no idea the sexuality of the actor. May he rest in peace, who died of diabetes in 2013, I think it was. And of course, the actress Dot, who played the coach, she is an openly lesbian woman in real life, but they never really stated the character other than her just going on a dancing with like a man. But Miranda. So this was reported back in January, but it wasn't reported on no big outlet, just like, news outlets that I've never heard of before, like TV Line and stuff. And I'm surprised this didn't get more buzz because this was talked about in January. And part of me is extremely shocked because it's like, okay, I know with modern day television that they have like one LGBT character and stuff like that, right? And so with the revival and everything, it would have made sense for them to turn one character gay or at least come up with like a brand new character. But I never thought really it would be Miranda and everything because Miranda was as straight could be on Lizzie McGuire, always fanning over the boys and this and that. And so, I would assume maybe, well, I'll get to this other character later. And so this reminds me of the whole Janice Ian thing from Mean Girls. It's like they take the person from like these older properties that have like an ethnic look to them and also have kind of like either a rocker or grunge or like a goth or like some type of alternative look to them. And then people automatically assume, oh yeah, I bet if they would be made nowadays, that character would be like a gay person. So I always wonder, why do people always assume that people who dress like alternative must be like, a gay character and stuff? Because yeah, some of them are, but then, people who wear like, pink and blues and yellows and all this other stuff and colorful clothes, they could be part of the LGBT community as well. But I just don't see it in Miranda. Like, I really don't. Because it's just kind of like she was just too boy crazy. And I mean, there was only one point in Lizzie McGuire where I thought maybe she could have been when she was it was the episode right after she had stole something. And I forget what this episode is about, but she's walking with Lizzie at like lunch outside, and she was like really close to Lizzie and really upset that Lizzie was upset. But that was like the only thing that made me think that. But other than that, I never got the impression she was like a lesbian and stuff, or like hid like who she really was. If they would have went through it, it would have been a big coming out moment, you know what I'm saying? And something like that would have been better if they would have had her actually like, with the revival, like come out like a couple of episodes in or like the next season in, not just see her be like, like a lesbian, because that would have been more impactful and stuff like that. And so, but it's just odd they picked her character because I just never saw that coming. But yeah, it is weird because it reminds me of the whole Janice Ian thing. Because Janice Ian was never a lesbian in the original and she dressed completely different. And she dated that Kenny G dude at the end, I just assume, okay, whatever, she's straight. Because, I've met tons of people who dress alternative, grunge, rock, goth, and all that. And a lot of them are just straight. And so it's always weird how people always assume with older properties, if you dress that way, then you must be part of the LGBT community. However, after rewatching Lizzie McGuire, there's one character I would have assumed who might have really been LGBT, but never came out back in the day. And that's Ethan Kraft. And the only reason, and I do mean the only reason why I felt this way, because he was like girl crazy too, but the girls always fanned over him, but you never really saw him fan back towards them. Like girls would like always like just be like staring at him and throwing themselves at him, but you never really saw him reciprocate, you know what I'm saying? And not only that, but like, there was that episode where Lizzie asked him out on a date, and for some bizarre reason that's never been explained, he just rejected her and talking about he just thinks of her as a friend. And I'm just kind of like, dude, this is Lizzie McGuire. Have you seen the way she looks? And she's crazy about you. Like, why don't you like her? And then he never explained why he didn't like go on a date with her. And then when it comes to Gordo and Matt, you always hear him say, "Oh, I love that little guy and everything. He's so cool and everything." And so I always assume, okay, either he just like thinks, oh, he's like the coolest person in the world. So that's like his buddy. Or maybe, just maybe, he actually really liked Gordo or something. So I always assumed in the back of my head, maybe he could have been. But I never got the impression Miranda did, because Miranda was just boy crazy and stuff. Happy Women's History Month, everybody. All right, well, I'll talk to you later. Bye.